Alright, Ned Flanders is back and at it. Okay, hey guys, welcome back to my playthrough of Dark Souls 2 Call for Sin. So, in the previous episode we got about halfway through this area, and now we're going to go ahead and finish that and get to the boss. Alright, so let's get down here. I always forget about this guy, but I'm ready for him this time. Alright guys, but anyways, to get into a bit of a topic here. So, I was thinking how I felt about the game when I first played Dark Souls 2, and how I feel about it now, playing Call for Sin. And I have done 2 playthroughs of the second game. The second one was kind of moving about too much, there wasn't too much to it. And about 2 playthroughs for this game. The first one I was really just going through pretty much everything that's the main story. I wasn't trying to go off and do any extra areas or anything else, which I'll be doing in this version. You know, I won't be too thorough to the facet where I'm, you know, searching every nook and cranny for items, but, you know, I'll be getting pretty much the basis of it. But nonetheless, so when I first played the second game, I didn't really notice the issues I had with the level design. You know, it didn't feel as dark. It didn't, you know, make me feel like I had as much to worry about when I could just teleport very easily at every bonfire. But I still really enjoyed it. You know, I feel like the combat feels a little bit more kinetic. It feels a little bit more, maybe a little quicker than Dark Souls 1. Dark Souls 1 was quick in a really odd way, just in the facet that, you know, when you roll in this game, the movements are a little bit based on your dexterity and everything else. In Dark Souls 1, it felt a little bit more rounded up to a singular animation. But I'll go ahead and skip him. I gave him my just time in the last episode. And I won't discuss how I died there, but nonetheless, that's this guy. Try to get that blown up, and no. Okay, maybe I don't know. It's also getting too many people here at once too. Yeah, so if you blow that up, you get to the next bonfire area. But I'm just gonna kill this guy, since he got to me last time. Oh, and that's going to be the Pursuer. So I'll give it my best try right now. This isn't exactly the ideal battleground to be fighting him in, because some of his attacks need to be blocked or hidden away from in crevices, and that's what the next boss battle area for him does. But let's see if I can do at least a little bit of damage to him. And I feel like this version, it maybe feels like it has a little bit more health to it, but I'm taking too much damage now. I feel like the Pursuer is one of the first boss battles you have where you may or may not give it about 1 or 2 tries before you actually get him, because I feel like you need to memorize a lot of his moveset, because he does have a lot of varied areas of attack, and he does tend to... He's one of the faster bosses in this game, I have to say. You know, he'll rush at you, and you really have to be really quick and know his attack patterns just to even get a heal in now and again when you do get hurt. But I'm going to stop in this side area here. There's quite a few items in here I don't want to be without, so let's get rid of these guys real quick. So, yeah, these guys are probably one of the first more power build-centric enemies you'll find in the game. What's nice about them, though, is that what this game does do is it does have a lot of enemies that have these really powerful attacks that have a lot of stagger damage that will definitely send you flying, or at least make you staggered and cause a lot of damage. And Dark Souls 2 does tend to make them a lot faster in this game, which I do appreciate, because there are enemies you'll run into, you know, and there's some of them that are a bit too OP, but there's some of them you run into, and not only do you have to, you know, be as quick as you can, but the moment they get attacking, you are almost done for. So, you know, healing management is also a bit of an issue as well. But anywho, let's see. Let's just play with the weapons a little bit here. Hopefully soon I'll get one of those hide swords. It has I think 45 base lightning damage, and it's a really good weapon. And I really like the attack pattern. It has a really nice kind of flurry way about it, and it's a lot of vertical attacks, which is really nice, because if you're in a hallway or by a wall, you're more likely to hit the wall and not have the attack. Oh, get out of the way. Almost. Okay. Yeah, there's a lot of different types of trap chests in this game, so you do have to be really wary of that. And this is, I think, one of the first Pharaoh's lockstones we'll run into. So you'll pick up these little lockstones that go inside the mouth, and it will unlock a specific area or do something in the map. I think these guys will knock the door over. Let's see. But nonetheless, yeah, there's a lot of those scattered around, so you kind of have to have a good idea of which ones to use. And some of them, I don't think there's any that are absolutely essential to progressing in the game, but there's a few that will definitely make it a lot easier, and there's bonfires and everything else. So that's one kind of nice thing about this game. I don't think they give you enough lockstones for how many doors there are. There's one area that has at least at least 10 or 12, I believe, which we'll be seeing at some point. Got to meet a nice knight there. I think the first time I played the game I accidentally killed him because I thought he was an enemy. Oh, the gate goes down, so this is one of the first trap areas in the game. So the gate will go down and all these enemies will come out, and again, another really easy death for someone who's just started. Hopefully not including me at the moment. I doubt it, but let's see. Behind these guys. So yeah, it's hard with this halberd guy here because he can definitely cover a lot of land, and the other guys have a little bit faster attacks. So they have a pretty good formation there. But pretty much done for. There we go. And I mean, there's a bit of a strategy to it as well. You know, enemies that have a little bit longer weapons. You know, the AI I don't believe is good enough for the enemies to really stick together and try to create a formation. Which, if they were to introduce that in a Dark Souls game at some point, it would definitely be interesting. I'm not sure if it could really make the game too difficult or if it would change it entirely. Here's another hidden door here. I thought I may as well go get it real quick. And get a nice chest here. Let's see what we have. But nonetheless, yeah, there'll be times where you can tell the level designers try to put specific types of enemies together to, you know, to make it so you have to watch out for the guy who's ranged. They'll have a few ranged guys, so you have to watch out for, you know, that longer, heavier build and those quicker guys. So they do that fairly well in this game. Not as frequent as you'd like, but it's not too bad. Okay. Another item over there real quick. Green Blossom. I'm not even sure what that does. I believe it's a stamina regen item. Let's go over here real quick. There's a lot of enemies to the left there. Let's just get these guys. This area, it's not too bad. It's somewhat reminiscent of that final castle area in Demon Souls, which was one of my favorite areas. I remember just sitting back and because it progressively gets a little bit higher, and by the end of it you can kind of see down to where you started. It's really cool, and I feel like with Demon Souls, what was really cool thing they had with separating the lands off completely to the point where you had a central hub go into them is they could really just go with a specific tone for a level. They didn't have to have, you know, areas mix into each other and have it make sense, which, you know, Dark Souls 2 didn't do as well, but you can tell they were at least trying. It's not so abrupt that everyone noticed. It's just pretty much players who played the previous games tend to notice it a little bit more. Get another torch, and you'll get far too many of these by the end of the game. Unfortunately, they're not too useful. All right, so they have 3 guys here. He's about to run off. One cool thing about Skull of the First Sin that they've changed is so in Dark Souls 2, the original version, enemies I felt. Oh wow, I got riposted. Nice. Enemies don't get a chance to do that very often, but nonetheless, the original one I felt like enemies fell off obstacles, just areas and walls, and you know, they fall straight down, you know, just with a good staggered attack usually, and it was nice, you know, feel like you could take advantage of the area around you, and it didn't just affect you falling off, it affected enemies as well. So the path fighting in this game is a little bit better. It won't really happen. You can still knock an enemy off, but it's usually a little bit more based on your attack, which makes more sense. But definitely, you know, you can't bank on it as much as you used to be able to. You know, there were some enemies that if you want to get by them quickly, all you had to do was just, you know, knock them off of an edge of somewhere. But alright, so these guys are getting a little bit more powerful, as you can see, and they have these jabbing weapons, which, you know, make these guys really difficult to fight sometimes. That downward thrust attack doesn't do too much, actually, but they really do keep you pretty staggered, and between 2 of them, it's kind of hard to get an attack in sometimes, especially when they're blocking and everything else. So, a little bit difficult of enemies in this area, so you can see the challenge going. One thing to mention, and I'll look over at the sunset once I get these guys over with, but you can see the lighting has changed. It's a little bit more afternoon, but on the other side of the map, it's definitely midday, a little bit more daytime. It just doesn't make much sense. It just kind of feels like there's just that small little change that kind of makes you, whether subconsciously or you notice it outright, that makes you just kind of wonder. It just takes you away from the immersion, but nonetheless, see another item here, and there's actually a really good set of armor right above me here, but you have to beat the pursuer to get to it, and you are definitely at an advantage if you can get to the pursuer and take the time to beat him and get that armor early in the game. But you know, the time you spend trying to kill him might equate to just, you know, leveling up a bit and doing some other varied things, in my opinion. But okay, so you got to get the key there. But yeah, as you can see, it's pretty much sunset right now. Go through here, and there's a little door here I need to open up so I can get back to the previous area. Make this a little bit more easy to traverse. Let's see. So definitely a lot of healing items added to these areas, which obviously makes a lot of sense for a beginning area. They do want you to get as stocked up as possible. You do tend to see the life gems a little bit more infrequently. I believe later in the game there's a few areas where they pretty much fall from enemies, but life gems you do receive tend to be a little bit more potent to match your higher health bar, which is always nice. Again, life gems a little bit too easy to overutilize in this game in my opinion, but I'll try to stick with a little bit more of an Estus run as much as I can. I won't just go ahead and stock up on as many life gems as I wish to, but here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and cut out me going to Majula. It's not really worth seeing, but I leveled up a little bit. And I should be ready to go back in here. So as you can see, this is what the loading screen looks like. No, not too bad. Just the text and very basic. I wish they would kind of go with a little bit something different. Loading screens, one thing Bethesda always does well, because they do have to have longer loading screens, is they do have character models that just kind of sit in the middle of the screen. You can kind of turn around and observe them, and then it's always nice. I think that would have been really cool with Dark Souls, because the enemies are so cool and so varied. Just be able to take a look around them and just see the armor, because when you're attacking them and you're moving so much around, you don't get a chance to really appreciate the good design that goes into some of these, which is a shame. Especially if you could kind of just see the last boss you defeated in a new loading screen, so it kind of progresses with the game. I think that would be very cool, but unfortunately I don't know if they're going to do it. And that was one thing about Dark Souls 2. So this was the only game in the Souls franchise that Miyazaki, the original creator of Demon Souls, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, was involved with. So he wasn't involved with this game, and you can definitely see it. I believe Demon Souls and Dark Souls, and what Dark Souls 3 is starting to look like, definitely has a certain kind of tone to it that you can definitely tell that he was involved with, which is sad. He's a great developer, and I do understand when you kind of feel like pressured to do a sequel, just to kind of put it onto one of your other departments, or oversee another game, whatever you're doing specifically. Maybe he wanted to put more time into Bloodborne while they were developing this, if you look at the timeline, but I'm glad he did. Bloodborne's a great game, and you can definitely see his input in it. The games have a very dark and dreadful tone. But we got our first boss here. I'll go ahead and let you watch the cutscene. Okay, so we have the last giant, and he is one of the first bosses, oddly enough. So pretty much this is Dark Souls 2. If I were to have someone watch kind of a boss battle, or want to watch a boss battle, it kind of resembles the lore a bit. Mainly this game is surrounded around the giants coming to this land ages ago, and the King Vendrick's defense against it, and everything else involving the Iron Throne, and and of course the greater narrative of kind of everything being in repetition to ebb and flow between the world being stabilized and renewed, or things continuing into an age of darkness, which I don't really like that form of storytelling, because it kind of makes you feel like if it's a constant ebb and flow and everything's just a cycle, then it kind of makes you feel like your little part in it really doesn't have as much meaning to it as it should. Ouch. So oddly enough, with this character, there's a way to knock off both of his arms. So he's using one of his arms that was broken off as a weapon, which is kind of a cool design idea. And I mean, the giants in this game, they're designed well. I mean, they're basically stone giants with a hollow face. Kind of a cool design. I mean, I don't really see why you would base the entire game around it, because Demon Souls it was based around that kind of weird folklore Japanese darkness, and then Dark Souls was a little bit more around just a variety. I mean, you know, a variety of different, you know, you have all the lords and everything else, and they have their own cutscene in the beginning, and you get to see them, and you go, oh my gosh, you know, this really ominous giant thing of skeletons is in this cutscene. I end up having to fight at some point, and the dragon and everything else, see the Scaleless, and in this game you just kind of just see them, and they're, you know, some of them are okay, they're cool, but they don't really have that commanding essence to them. But nonetheless, guys, I'll see you in the next episode. We defeated the last giant, and I think Ned Flanders will be doing some more ass kicking. Alright guys, see ya.